Hi guys, hope you're well. Unfortunately I'm not going to be in the lesson tomorrow. I think Mr. Watlin's taking you, but however I'm going to set you away on the video that you need to watch ready for tomorrow and what you need to do in the lesson. Your first job is, if you haven't finished what we started 2 weeks ago, which was the QR code posters, the revision guides on the 6 topics that we've previously done, like on principles of training, on components of skill-related fitness, components of health-related fitness, why fitness components are important. You need to finish that first. So that's your first job, is to finish what we'd started the week before. What we're going to look at this week is we're going to look at different training methods and what you do to improve certain elements of performance. So firstly we're going to look at flexibility training. You can have different types of flexibility training depending on what you want to improve. The first thing is your static training. There's 2 different types of static flexibility. Firstly, there's active stretching, which is performed in a warm-up and throughout exercise, which actually stretches and lengthens the muscle. The second is known as passive stretching. This is when you're using an object, a person or a wall to help you stretch. Yeah. So this other person applies force to you, or the object does, which again allows you to stretch. So you've got 2 types of static stretch. You've got active, which is where the muscle fibre you do by yourself, and the muscle fibre strengthen and lengthen. Then you've got active, you've got passive, which is where you're using an object to help you stretch. As well as static, you've got something called ballistic, and this is where the performer makes fast, jerky movements in a range of different exercises. Ballistic stretching is normally known as stretching on the move, and you'll see a lot of professional athletes do this as part of their exercise. They start the stretch on the move first, then they will do their static stretching after that. So that's ballistic stretching, which is stretching on the move, and where it gives you a full range of motion. And the last one is something called proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. This is where it's used to develop mobility, strength and flexibility. This technique may be performed with the help of a partner, alternatively by using an immovable object such as a wall. PNF stretches can be used in rehabilitation programs. Yeah, it helps you stretch the muscle to the upper limit of its range of movement, and you would usually do this for 6 to 10 seconds. Now there's one to be in. This technique inhibits the stretch reflex, which occurs when a muscle is stretched to its full capacity, so an even greater stretch and range of movement can occur when you do your PNF stretching. So you've got flexibility training, you've got 3 different types. You've got static, which is active or passive. You've got ballistic, which is on the move, and you've got PNF, which is when you're working for 6 to 8 seconds, stretching at its upper limit of your flexibility. As well as flexibility training, we've got something called strength, muscular endurance and power training. You do this through certain different areas. You can do it through circuit training, which is where you will work different muscle areas on different circuits. So for example, if you were setting up a circuit and you were looking at the whole body, you wouldn't necessarily put 2 legs in the same circuit right after each other, 2 arms, 2 body. What you would do is you would split it up, where you would have a leg, an arm, a full body, and you split it up so you work in each different muscle groups as you go on. Another thing to increase your muscular endurance, strength and power training is doing free weights. Using dumbbells or barbells to perform different exercises. So you're looking at an arm curl with a free weight. So if you're looking at an arm curl, and you have a free weight, it should look like that. Yeah. So you have arm curls, you have like a squat, a weighted squat. This is all free weight stuff, and the concept of it is that if you want to increase your strength, you're looking at low reps with high loads, so low repetitions with high loads of weights. That's to increase your strength and increase your muscle mass. If you're looking at endurance, you're looking at high repetitions but a low amount of reps. like I said, you order your exercises so you're not working the same muscle group all the time, and you focus on your core. So your core is massively important. That's your six-pack area, this area here. That's where a lot of your lifting comes from, your striking. So your core is massively important. Your core needs to be improved. You also need to alternate between upper body and lower body, like I've said. You're looking at your intensity of how hard you work. So if you're looking at 1 rep max, your 1 rep max is basically seeing how many repetitions you can do in that minute, in that set. So it could be 1 rep max, you could be lifting your maximum amount of weight, but you could only do that 3 or 4 times. That's fine. If you're looking at doing training, what people tend to do, and Mr. Maitland is a good example of this. He trains his body so that he gets bigger, but he trains different areas of his body and different aspects of his body every day. So therefore he will do something, he might do sets where he does 4 sets of 12, for example, 4 sets of whatever he's got on his weight. He might increase his rate each set of repetitions, but he'll probably do 4 sets of 12 reps. That's to increase his size, his muscular strength. Yeah. The last thing you're looking at in terms of strength, muscular endurance and power is you're looking at plyometric training. This is using short explosive movements to increase your strength and power. So lots of jumping, bounding, those type of actions, those eccentric and concentric. Eccentric is lengthening the muscle fibre, so that could be a box jump. And you're looking at a concentric contraction which shortens the muscle length. That is looking at something like a press up or something, or a lunge or something like that. Yeah, so that's your plyometric. As well as having training that improves strength, muscular endurance, and power training, you're looking at aerobic endurance. So how to increase your aerobic endurance. One way to do that is continuous training. This is working at a steady pace for a moderate intensity for a minimum of 30 minutes. So going out for a slow jog, that's continuous training. You have something called fartlek training, which means speed play, which is working at different intervals, different speeds for different periods of time. It could be sprinting up a hill, it could be doing figures of 8, whatever. It is training constantly with no rest over that period, but going at different intensities, and you can use different equipment to help you with that. You can use harnesses where it's resistance running. You can use running with weights or weighted backpacks. Me and Mr. Logan do quite a lot of this. Next thing is you have interval training. Again, very similar to fartlek training. You're working at different intervals, and you're working at different. In those intervals, you're working at different intensities. So you have a rest period, but you also have a work period. Typically, this type of work can go from 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on how long your rest is. It works your aerobic endurance for you're working about 60% of your VO2 max, which is your maximum oxygen intake you can take in. And you decrease the number of rest periods and decrease the work rate to increase your aerobic endurance. So you limit the amount of rest you have to get fitter, basically. You can also use circuit training for aerobic endurance. So you can have different circuits. Like I've said, you wouldn't necessarily have the same muscle group work at the same time, but in those circuits you would also put CV work, right? Which is cardiovascular, which is looking at it helps you with your muscular endurance, but also reduces fatigue as well. And the last type of training is something called speed training. Yeah, this is hollow sprints. You can do it by using hollow sprints, a series of sprints separated by a hollow period of jogging or walking. So it could be sprinting for 30 seconds, walk for 10, sprint for 30, so on and so forth. When I was at Hartlepool and when Mr. Watland was at Middlesbrough, we used to do this type of training quite a lot. Get down now. We used to do this training quite a lot, especially in pre-season, because it would improve how quick we were, but also help us with our aerobic endurance. You do something called acceleration sprints. This is where the pace is gradually increased from a steady or rolling start to jog, then striding out, then going into your maximum sprint. And this could be done over a period of 200 metres. So you could You could walk or slow jog for the first 50, stride out for 50, sprint for 100, then repeat it. And again, interval training also helps with your speed. This could be done on a cross trainer or a treadmill. Treadmill's the best one, where you increase your time, so you sprint for 30 seconds out of that minute. So every 30 seconds you sprint, or you could do 30, 60, 90s. That's a good one that I like to do, where you do 30 second sprint, 30 second jog, 60 second sprint, 60 second jog, 90 second sprint, 90 second jog on a speed that's going to increase your speed and your speed training. So that's what we're looking at today. We've looked at your different types of training methods, so fitness training methods. We looked at flexibility, in that was static, ballistic and PNF stretching. We've looked at your strength, muscular endurance and power training, in which we've talked about circuit training, how to use free weights and plyometrics. We've got aerobic endurance in there, which is your continuous training, your fartlek, your interval and your circuit training. And last but not least was your speed training, where we looked at hollow sprints, acceleration sprints and interval training. Like I say, if you haven't finished the task from last week, which was making your poster with your QR codes, you need to do that. This week we're looking at that, so you need to make notes off this, and then what you're going to do is, I want you to create again another revision guide using QR codes. You work in pairs, or threes, and you focus on the 4 different areas that we've looked at for fitness training methods. I want one pair to do flexibility, one person to do muscular endurance, power and strength. I want one pair to do aerobic endurance, and the other one to do speed training. So I want a poster created from that with the information on, again using the QR codes. Right, make your notes first in your book. Remember how to split your page, where you have your key terms and then you have your definitions. So your key terms in this are aerobic endurance training, speed training, strength, muscular endurance and power training, and flexibility training. And you make your notes off what we've talked about today. Cheers.